start in order. Although my thoughts are confused, it's hard for me to talk about what I've been through, but I have to testify about it. What I am going to tell you is a confirmation of the presence of extraterrestrial entities on our planet. They treated me neutrally. You can say they didn't touch me with a finger, which I can't say about the representatives of Homo sapiens, to whom I fell into the hands after. Although the root cause of everything was my curiosity. I want to tell you everything in order. I am Russian by nationality, but I have almost never lived in Russia. I was born and spent my entire adult life in Azerbaijan, which determined my future life in many ways. After graduating from the Oil and Gas University with a degree in oil drilling, I got a job at an American oil company. Its name does not really matter. All developments were conducted in Iraq. It seemed prestigious to me and promised decent earnings. Of course, I agreed to leave Azerbaijan. We arrived in Iraq in the afternoon. The local flavor immediately caught our eye, although everything was decent. From Basra, we were transferred by helicopter to the Kurna field, 65 kilometers from Basra itself. The town of oil workers is a very comfortable hostel food. I personally liked everything then. If I had known how it would all turn out for me in the future, then I would have at least refused to work in this company. The first 2 weeks were ordinary. We drilled a well and did all the work that was required of us. In particular, I worked as a driller and spent almost all my time on the drilling rig, spending the night in the town and in the morning going on shift again. One day we were drilling a well. Everything was going normally. Suddenly, the geologist who accompanied the whole process announced that a huge cavity had been felt under the drilling tool. You need to be careful. There may be a gas-bearing reservoir. We took all precautions, but during the drilling process, the drilling tool simply fell into the cavity. On our own, we eliminated the accident and cemented the well. Everything had to be reported upstairs. That's where the weirdness started. The drilling site and the drilling town were cordoned off by American troops on Humvees. They refused to explain the situation or explain anything immediately. They did not enter into any contacts. We were simply evacuated from the drilling rig and shoved into the dorm rooms. It was forbidden to leave the town. However, at night, my friend and I were still able to get behind the perimeter. Why we did this is difficult to explain. They just decided to break the established order and get to a small Bedouin town near the throgs of the low cliffs of Kurna in the middle of the sands. The landscape was like the moon. Sand, 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 and small spurs. It is difficult to explain what kind of town it was, a small settlement, as if a camp on the route of some caravans. People appeared and disappeared there. But sometimes they could get hold of something like moonshine of 30 degrees of strength. Well, in fact, we went for this alcohol. We did not go out to the village. At night, we simply got lost and decided to go out to the rocky spurs, using them as a landmark. We found the rocks, looked around, and I personally found a small depression in the rock, such as a gnome or cave. I took out my notebook and lit up a few torn pages. For some reason, we were afraid to use the light of mobile phones. It hurts to attract attention with an unnatural light, but the fire was kind of natural, and I thought it wouldn't attract attention. Understanding the situation was ambiguous. I can't answer the question of why we even went into this hole then, but they climbed. Only the entrance was narrow. It was possible to walk further standing up. But after walking 20 steps, my friend and I fell into an underground hole, flew about 6 meters. The comrade screamed by hitting his foot. I felt a light breeze, and I said that we need to go in the direction forward, where the wind is blowing from. There is an exit. That's what we did. After walking on 4 legs for 5 or 6 meters, we crawled into a large grotto. There we found strange cocoons, the size of basketball. My friend opened the cocoon with a knife, which he took with him. Whitish slime sprayed out, and a small, cat-sized, insect-like creature fell out of the cocoon. At first it looked like an ant, but now I can say for sure, it looked like a transparent mantis. I stepped on the creature and crushed it. We took a lot of photos on a mobile phone. After a moment, I felt a ringing in my ears, a vibration, and concrete images began to appear in my head amid the monotonous sound. I didn't look at my friend, I just couldn't. The trance engulfed me. Obeying him, I went in the depths of the grotto. On and on. It was dark, but I could see everything. Now I can't tell if my eyes saw it, or if I used images, which someone forced into my head. Coming out of the grotto, I found myself in front of the vaults, in the middle of which there was something dark. The sound of static electricity was heard. The darkness was palpable. It sounded clearly in his head. Stop. One more step and instant death. With a lateral slice, I snatched out a creature that periodically appeared and retreated. About 2 meters tall, antennae like an insect, shell, mandibles. But the image was melting in my head, like waking up from a nightmare. It seems like here he is, I see, and suddenly he forgets. Now I am recording this audio message with only one purpose. What I saw should become public. This is a matter of the life of this humanity. I remember a persistent image, an asteroid crashing on the surface of the Earth back in the Cenozoic. It was this steroid that brought these creatures to Earth, so they bred. And now insectoids, or non-insects, are the true masters of the Earth. And all of humanity can become their food and incubator for their offspring. It's very hard for me to speak. I don't remember how we got out of the grotto. My friend and I woke up in the middle of the desert, surrounded by soldiers. There were 3 soldiers, and their officer was with them. They spoke in English, but the essence of their conversation barely reached me. My head hurt terribly. The officer ordered our phones to be taken away, which the soldiers did. Then they started beating me and my friend. But what happened next ruined my life. One of the soldiers put my comrade's knife in my hand. When I looked around, I saw my friend's body. It was turned over on its stomach, lying in a pool of blood. Myung Yu was accused of murder and then transferred to a compulsory psychiatric commission. They completely destroyed me, making me crazy in the eyes of those who knew me and could trust me. Special agents came to me twice at the clinic. I figured that out later. I was offered to testify, promised release and restoration of all rights. But I knew that, as soon as I spoke, they would immediately take me away. I was silent until today. I have to say everything. This audio recording is the only evidence exposing the fact of the presence of extraterrestrial beings on Earth with the ability to telepathy. If you are listening to this audio recording, then know I am no longer alive. One of the people who became the victim of contact with non-human beings swore to multiply it like a virus on the internet if I stopped contacting.